Today, we're going to compare the Trail Boss and the ZR2. These trucks are pretty close in price, not like exactly, but they're very close. I borrowed these trucks from Jerry Seiner Chevrolet here in Salt Lake City. Both of them are available for sale. Let's go ahead and check out the window stickers so you guys can see some of the pricing and features on these builds. Starting with the Trail Boss, base price is going to be $58,800, and this is the LT. And it has a ton of options, so just be sure to pause it. I'm not going to go through every single thing, but it has the convenience packages. The 6.2 liter is almost $4,000. And then with everything included, this one is just at $71,050. The ZR2 does have a higher starting price because this is basically a LTZ. And here are all the options. So technology, 6.2 liter, also off-road assist steps and a few other things. Destination, and then total price is $78,605. If you consider just the base price of these trucks, the Trail Boss is 100% a no-brainer. It is, because it's $11,200 cheaper. However, a lot of things are an option on this truck. So when you consider the price of these two trucks, this truck has a sunroof, this one does not. This one also has running boards, this one does not. If you add those two features on this truck, well, it does close the gap even more. But for right now, it's only $7,500 cheaper than the ZR2 to get this Trail Boss. Now, on this truck, you do get LED headlights standard. That's one signature thing about the Silverados that's really nice. You get standard premium lighting. Blackout on the grille. This does have the Dark Essentials package. And on the Trail Boss, they give you the black bumpers to give you that more sporty off-road look. Red recovery hooks down below. Also, LED reflector style fog lights. The only thing about the front end is these front parking sensors and that camera are an option on this truck. Check out the black treatment on that bow tie. And as far as the ZR2 goes, this truck is just in your face. Very massive front end. They give you the cutout in the bumper down below to give you better ground clearance. And cameras and front parking sensors come standard. And as I said, LED headlights. Now notice the difference here. You can see on the housing of that headlight, it is blacked out compared to that silver finish on the Trail Boss. So that is a nice little signature thing. And look at this, black recovery hooks. And I think that's because of the Black Essentials package on this truck too. So it does black them out, but otherwise they would be red. But here's a big upgrade that you get for the ZR2. You see that massive skid plate and how far back it goes? Let's check it out for the Trail Boss. That is just splash protection. That's all it is. That's just plastic right there. And I believe the further back it goes, it might be more like a metal. But that's where you get the biggest upgrade is. You get the better ground clearance up front because of that bumper cutout. And you get the bigger skid plates on the truck as well. Let's go ahead and check out the wheels and tires, starting with the Trail Boss. For 2025, 20-inch wheels do come standard on Trail Boss. They are wrapped in a Bridgestone Dueler tire. Tire size is 275/60/20 and 2,679 pounds of capacity per tire at 44 psi. The ZR2 has 18-inch wheels standard, and they are wrapped in a more aggressive tire. These are the Goodyear Wrangler Territory MTs, and tire size is right here at 275/70/18 and 2,680 pounds of capacity at 50 psi. So these tires are actually the exact same width as these on the Trail Boss. So you can probably see the width there. However, that's 33 inches. This is 33.2 inches tall. So when it comes down to tire size, there's not a huge difference, if any, compared to these two trucks here. Now let's go ahead and turn out the wheels so you guys can see the suspension on these trucks. Let's start with the ZR2 first. So this is probably the reason why most people are going to be buying a ZR2. It's because you want a more hardcore off-road suspension. This is the Multimatic DSSV dynamic suspension spool valve. Now both trucks are going to have a 2-inch lift, so there's no advantage for ride height here. However, you do have these spool valves, so it doesn't use deflective discs. It uses that for the dampening inside. There is one part of the chamber in there is going to have oil, so that should help with overall performance too. You guys can see the control arms. You have an aluminum one right there, and then you have a steel one. Also your steer knuckle in there is going to be aluminum, and they do give you a little bit of like strengthening right there. As far as the Trail Boss goes, you guys can see the control arms are the exact same. They do restyle these compared to the regular non-off-road trucks, so you're gonna have a similar control arm on both trucks. You guys see you still have that stiffening right there. The only difference is this has the Rancho shocks. Now you guys see the coils. Look at the difference in the coils on the suspension there. So you have a few more coils in comparison. And like I said, I think if you're someone who does plan on going off-road at higher speeds, the ZR2 might be a better way to go in comparison. As far as the hoods go, you have that black trimming in the center there. They both have the 6.2 liter. Here's some of the badging on the side of the trucks. Painted mirror caps on the top part of it. You have some forward lights, and they're both going to have cameras. Black door handles, smart key system on the front doors only, and as I said, you do have these optional running boards on the ZR2. Now let's take a look at the skid plate for the transfer case. This is the Trail Boss, so you do have some protection right there for that, and nothing for that transmission. Let's go ahead and check it out for the ZR2. So you guys can see right there, the skid plate's just a little bit more durable and it protects a little bit more underneath, but there's still nothing protecting that transmission right there. 20 per gallon fuel tank comes standard. Here is that rear suspension, so you have more Multimatic DSSV, and then check out the leaf. So you have 5 leaves in the main pack in the rear. That bottom one's going to be a helper spring. Let's check out what that Trail Boss has. So this truck has the Rancho shocks, but you guys see the leaves? You only have 3, and that bottom one's going to be the helper spring there. Both trucks have the fabric material in the liner out back. Now I didn't point it out, but you do have the fender flares on the ZR2, whereas the Trail Boss does not. Here's some of the badging in the rear. No decals on that ZR2. Now this truck does not have the multi-flex tailgate, although it is available. The Trail Boss does. Black bumpers, you can see that they give you the chrome tips down below. However, they do not give that to you on the ZR2. Class 5 hitches, you have the spray-in bed liners, bed lights. They used to stamp ZR2 in the beds. They don't do that anymore. There's the bed lights, and then you still have the 400 watts of power right there. And it's going to be the exact same story for the Trail Boss. However, the Trail Boss does not have bed view or the 4K camera like this ZR2 does. So there's some more benefits for this truck there, and I'll show those camera views to you here in a second. When it comes down to the powertrains, there's a clear winner here. Now let's talk about this Trail Boss for a second. If you don't know, the Trail Boss does come standard with the Turbo Max. That's a 4-cylinder turbocharged engine, has 310 horsepower, 430 pound-feet of torque, 8-speed transmission, 342 rear. Now on the ZR2, you do get the 3-liter Duramax diesel standard, and that engine is going to have 305 horsepower and 495 pound-feet of torque, 10-speed transmission. Both of these trucks were optioned with the 6.2 liter gas V8. Now you can get the 5.3 liter in the Trail Boss. That's not available for the ZR2. If I wanted a V8, I would probably go with the 5.3 liter, because at the end of the day, yeah, it's going to be a little bit more sluggish compared to this one, but you got to spend $4,000 for that engine, and that's a lot of money. Now the reason why it's not as much money in the ZR2 is because you're upgrading from the diesel to this, and the diesel has more value compared to that Turbo Max, and GM's basically telling you that. So in the grand scheme of things, if I were in the market, I would probably go with either the 6.2 liter or the diesel. Now, if you do a lot of hardcore off-roading, like rock crawling at low speeds for long periods of time, I would skip the diesel because of the emission stuff. The 6.2 liter is probably better suited for those types of off-road things. Now, if you plan on driving a lot on the highway, you know, for long distances, then the diesel might be a better way to go, because you can get 25 plus mpg. Now let's go ahead and talk about these diffs, because I haven't gone over what each truck has, and that might be a big selling factor for some people too. Now if you're looking at a Trail Boss, This is going to have an open diff on the front end, whereas on this ZR2, this truck does have an electronic locker. Out back, however, both trucks do have a locker. The one on the Trail Boss is going to be automatic, so it's a G80. And on the ZR2, you guys will see that this one has a locker in the rear. Now, you guys see that too? You do have a full-size spare tire on the ZR2, whereas on the Trail Boss, it's just a donut style. So if you really do plan on going off-road, you might want to upgrade that. As far as the interior goes, the big advantage on the Trail Boss is this. If you don't like the interior on the ZR2, which some people don't like it, you have two options. You have this interior. This is like the Gideon and very dark atmosphere, as they call it. It's a weird name. And you have black. So if you don't want what is in that ZR2, which I'll show you guys here in a second, this is the next best thing because you have two different interior designs you can choose from. However, there's nothing special about this truck. It's just an LT interior. You have these animations, it says Trail Boss right there. Here's this screen. The screens are gonna be the same. Nothing's gonna change there. The only difference is these buttons are gonna change, and just the overall design of the interior is gonna be different too. But these seats are leather as an option, heated, not ventilated. And this truck does have the home link. All these things are an option too. Home link is an option in this truck too. This truck does not have heads-up display, but it should have the features like 360 camera, as you guys saw. That was an option. The parking sensors, again, those are an option. So that's your 360 camera view right there. And this one has the center console, obviously. Wireless charger, USBs, 120 volt power plug. All that's going to be the same for both trucks. And here's that center console. Now let's just look at the drive modes. This truck does have an active exhaust. So if you put it in sport or if you put it in off-road mode, it will make that exhaust a little bit louder. But if you put it back in normal, it quiets it up a little bit. Here is the black and gray stone interior for the ZR2. One thing I like about this interior is you do get this lime green stitching here, and they give you a more sportier interior. So you have this accent with like this black chrome here. This truck has the seat memories, has the power folding outside mirrors, and it has auto up and down for front windows on both sides. And that Trail Boss, it only had it on the driver's side for up and down. Now auto down for the rears. Bose comes standard in this truck. Bose was an option on that truck. Now one thing that is an advantage on this truck is if you do plan on going off-road, they do give you better bolstering on these seats. You guys can see that they are perforated leather, and you have a power steering column, which is not available for that LT. Now when you step inside, as I said, the screens are not going to change. Here's those animations for the ZR2. And then here it is for this 13.4 inch display. Downhill assistance on both trucks, but you see right here, you don't have these buttons on that Trail Boss. Now starting it up, push button start. Here is that center console. You can see that black with the gray stone with that lime green stitching. This truck does have the sunroof, home link, all the stuff, LED interior lights. Now for drive modes, let's go through them. You have sport, off-road, and you have terrain. So you do get one additional drive mode, which is in use for low. But apart from that, there's not much else different. You guys can see the ventilated seats there, dual climate control, both trucks have that. The 360 camera, there it is. And that's pretty much it. Heads-up display, that was the only difference between these two trucks. But I think for the price point, again, as I said earlier, if you're going to be adding a bunch of options to the Trail Boss, you almost have to consider a ZR2. You just have to, unless you just don't like this interior, or you just don't want to spend another, you know, 5 to 8 grand more, I would say. Because in a lot of cases, you can probably add no options to this truck compared to that Trail Boss and almost come in about the same. Because if I took off the sunroof and the running boards, that's like $2,000 of a difference there. Let's take a look at the numbers on the door. Starting off with the Trail Boss, gross axle rating out front's gonna be 3,800 pounds, the rear is 3,800 pounds. Gross fuel weight rating is gonna be 7,100 pounds. The wheels are 20 by 9 wide, and all-in payload is 1,625 pounds. Here's the tire pressure too at 35 all the way around. The gross axle weight rating out front is the only number that's different, 3950. Gross axle in the rear and GVWR is the same. Wheels are 18 by 8.5 wide. And then here is the payload at 1398. So you do take a hit on that payload. And tire pressure is 38 PSI all the way around. And in case you want to see the towing capacity, 8,800 pounds. On the Trail Boss, they didn't have the towing numbers on there. I'm not sure why. But I hope you guys liked the video. Let me know your thoughts down below. Which truck would you choose? For some people, $7,500 is a ton of money. Like, and some people are already at the max of their budget, so that Trail Boss might still be the better way to go. And you get the 6.2 liter, you still get the 2-inch lift. And some people like 20-inch wheels better than 18s. I'm kind of on the side of the 18-inch wheels. I like smaller wheels now with bigger tires. This looks a lot better to me. But let me know your thoughts down below. Hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel. See you guys soon.